mira, bobo. Anda para allá, bobo.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the SoFlo Soccer channel, here with a very, very special guest, my boy, El Uruguayo, Danny Solana. How are you doing, sir?
And I'm doing brutal. I'm doing terrible. It's been a rough weekend for me. Not only did Inter Miami get whooped today 4-1, but Nacional lost to Peñarol yesterday in
No,
Uruguay.
dude.
So it's been an absolute brutal weekend for Clásicos for me. But we're gonna have a fun time talking about what went on tonight with Inter Miami and Orlando City.
Bro, yesterday Racing played against Boca Juniors. My team is Racing, and so we tied. So I could at least say that we tied, and we didn't get back-to-back L's. But no, we're gonna try to have a good time tonight. We're gonna express all of our opinions, our emotions. We're gonna have some people in the chat that are gonna be coming in just a couple of minutes. But I'm just gonna get straight to it because that's how we do it on this channel, and that's how I know you are as a person, which I love about you. And this game was a disaster. And I think from beginning to end, there was so many bad things that just unfolded from this team, and it's like almost unrecognizable to the point from what we've seen previously from in any game that we've seen, at least in recent times. But give me your overall thoughts of how you thought the game was, and then we'll talk about the starting 11. And then we'll kind of break it down from there.
Perfect. Yeah, I mean, I'll be completely honest with you and with your fans. What we saw from Inter Miami tonight was, to me, an absolute disgrace, plain and simple. Orlando's attack completely toyed with our defense. It could have been easily 5 or 6 goals. We looked lost up front. Suarez was absolutely nowhere to be found. Velasco Segovia as well. Tadeo Allende, another ghost performance from him. So we were slow in the middle, and really, I don't want the folks to come in and already start to fire up the chat talking about how it's all on Mascherano, because it's not all on Mascherano, and that's the truth. The players need to look into the mirror too, and they have to look at the shirt that they're wearing, look at the pride, look at the fans that they represent, the club that they represent. And this is a Clásico. This isn't any other game. And I know that sometimes we force this Clásico upon folks because it's our in-state rival, but Orlando City looked like they were playing a Clásico. Inter Miami looked like they were just going through the motions. And really, this is 2 Clásicos in a row that we get absolutely steamrolled, right? The first one 3-0, now 4-1 on this one. And it's not bad luck anymore. We can't blame it on bad luck, Matt. It's to me, it's a lack of character. And like I said, if you wear this pink shirt or the black one or the blue one, whichever one we wear, but if you represent this club and you let that happen twice in a row without showing a little bit of garra in the next game when we play the LA Galaxy next week, then to be honest, you don't deserve to be wearing this jersey or to be on this team.
I 1000% agree with you. Eddie, like when you put on this whatever color the kit is, you represent this badge and you represent Inter Miami, you represent South Florida, and you're 100% right. This is a derby, this is a Clásico, whatever you want to call it. I know there's not an official name yet, but this is literally, you're playing an in-state rival against Orlando, who is honestly not even a terrible team. They've been cooking us all game with Muriel, with Ojeda, with Angulo, who's quick as hell, Pasalic on the right. We couldn't handle these guys. We looked so vulnerable in every aspect of the game. In the midfield, you saw we were exposing space that we created space for them in times. And in my opinion, I thought Maxi Falcon was absolutely horrendous. I thought certain play Ashende. I'm starting to think that Ashende. I've been defending Ashende as a player overall. I think he's just and I've kept saying that he's just been in bad form. I think now at this point he's just like not really that good of a player. Like it's just Ustadi's back in net after his injury, and after Rocco's been killing it in net. He let 4 past him in what was just an absolutely horrific performance in general. But I think you're absolutely right. This is unacceptable, inexcusable from a team like Inter Miami, a team that is trying to make a statement, make a difference in the MLS. And they when they play against their rivals, they didn't even show up. They stayed in South Florida. I don't know, maybe they fell asleep on the Bright Line when they took it over there. But like maybe they didn't get enough sleep when they were on the Bright Line when they took it over there. But whatever happened tonight is like it was terrible.
Maxi Falcon looked like he was nice and comfy drinking mate on the bright line. So I don't know if it had anything to do with the bright line, but I'll tell you one thing. You nailed it on the head. I mean, the defense was absolutely horrific today. I mean, there's no other word to describe it. Maxi Falcon probably had his worst game in an Inter Miami uniform, picking up a yellow card in the early part of the first half, and then he was conditioned basically the rest of the second half, or the rest of the first half and the second half while he played. Noah Allen as well picked up a card. He's another player who, since he got hurt in the Club World Cup, to me, he just hasn't really looked, since he's gotten back, he hasn't looked in form. And I said it, in a couple of the chats that I was in before the game. I didn't think that this was a game for Noah Allen to start. I think Lujan should have started from the start, or maybe Toto Aviles would have gave us a little bit of more aggressiveness in the back, a little bit of more height in the back, which is something that we were missing with Noah Allen in there. But really, you even have to point the finger at Jordi Alba. I mean, that he had a terrible pass that almost led to an Orlando goal, and then he had a terrible play on that second goal where Muriel just basically just went right around him, and I don't know what he was doing. So the entire defense, even Ian Frey, who had a fantastic game against Pumas, a fantastic second half, he just wasn't up to the task today. There was a lot of balls that he let go. Angulo, like you said, absolutely cooked him on the left flank. I mean, did you see that one where they both went, racing for the ball, and Angulo just took bypass him? He was like 1 or 2 meters past him.
Yes, no, he was gone. He completely left him. No, it was terrible. I didn't expect Noah Allen to get a start today. I mean, to be honest, I thought it was gonna be Lujan, because it's just always been Lujan. So I don't know what caused that for him to start Noah Allen, but regardless, go.
I think we see it in the fourth goal, right? When Lujan basically gets burnt. When Lujan gets burnt by Palasic, and he scores the fourth goal. So I think what Mascherano was trying to go for was maybe a little bit more speed, which is what Noah Allen usually gives you. But even though he gives you speed, he lacks in height, he lacks in a little bit of aggressiveness, and he lacks in timing right now, because he's not back to being at the level that he was prior to when he got hurt. So a very tough game to insert a young player in a Clásico, especially away, nobody really performed.
Look, let's take up the starting 11 just to refresh everybody's memory. I'm gonna share my screen here for everybody. This is what we're dealing with here. We got Oscar Ustari, like I said, back in the starting lineup. After a couple of games. We had Rocco in net, who was doing really well. Back four consists of Jordi Alba, Noah Allen, Maxi Falcon, Ian Frey getting a start, which I know Danny tweeted his excitement about seeing him in the starting 11, which I was as well. I think we all were, especially when we saw him come on in the second half in that last game and did really well and changed the game completely. The double pivot consists of Yannick Bright with Abusi, and the top three midfielders are going to be the Segovia, Rodrigo de Paul, and Tadeo Allende, con Luis Suarez up top, El Pistolero, as the number 9. It's a very standard 11, Anthony, in my opinion. But when you look at the other side, when you look at Muriel, Ojeda, Angulo, Araujo, and Atuesta, Pasalic, just that alone, I'm not even going to talk about the defense. Just that alone, that's a threatening offense. And that's an absolutely threatening offense. And Miami just couldn't handle it. We were absolutely outplayed. I'm going to read a couple of comments in the chat that have been coming in as well. Let me see what they've been saying. We got it's just all really bad. It's all really bad. It says Ter Stegen and El Dubo are not coming. Celta Vigo laughing all the way to the bank. Maybe get Tagliafico for defense along with Bartra. Inter Miami lack physicality, says Brad. Most of the players need to go to the gym and bulk up. Muriel just blowing by Miami players like they were rag dolls. Even Redondo screwed up his passes in the 5 minutes that he played. Defense, offense, we were all horrible. It was just, I don't think there's a single comment in here that says something positive about this team, and that's not good. That's not something you want to hear.
No, but it's definitely what you get to hear from the fans after a very poor performance like they showed today. And you hit it you hit the nail on the head again, man. You're on a roll. Martin Ojeda, what a player, man! What a player! What he does for Orlando City, he controls the entire game. I mean, he puts in beautiful passes. He's a quick player. He can score like he did in the game. I mean, he's an awesome player. I would have, and I don't know how much he makes. I assume he's on a DP contract. But
Maybe.
but man, what a great player, and there should be more limelight on him because I don't think that the MLS talks about him as much.
And because if his name doesn't start with Messi, then nobody talks about him. Because I'm looking at Ojeda right now and his stats, and as I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is his 5th consecutive game with at least one goal contribution. He had 2 tonight. He had 3 against Necaxa. He had 2 against Atlas. He had 1 against Pumas. He had 1 against Columbus in that win, a 3-1 win. He had 2 against New England in a 2-1 win. He's been on fire in almost every single game that this man plays. He is creating goals, and he looked absolutely unstoppable tonight. And the same thing with Muriel. Muriel, for 34-year-old, like Colombiano, for a 34-year-old, I thought he absolutely cooked. Who was it? Falcon. Falcon bit so early, and I think it was in the first minute. He bit too early. He exposed some space behind him, which I don't know if that was the tactical plan, or I don't know honestly what the plan was for this team. But Muriel completely cooked Falcon, went behind him, and scored the first goal in the first minute, and that just set the tone for the rest of the game. Yannick Bright tried to give some light, shed some light, shed some fire into this team, which I thought honestly he was probably the best player of the game for Inter Miami at least for the, what was it, 70 minutes or whatever. Because I think for like the last 15, 20, maybe even 30 minutes, they didn't really look as good. But I thought Yannick Bright was probably the best one. He scored an absolute golazo, first goal for the team, good for him. And which honestly I didn't expect. I honestly didn't even realize that was his first goal for Inter Miami until I saw it on social media. So an absolute banger for him. But then after that, it was just a disaster class from everybody. And now possibly, which I think I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but possibly we're gonna be facing this team in the League's Cup. Like if we beat Tigres, which at this point, if we play like this, we're not gonna be beating nobody. But if we beat Tigres in the League's Cup, we could possibly face Orlando, because I bet a lot of money that Orlando go through to the semis. And
I don't know, man. They have to play Toluca, and Toluca is a really tough team. And either way, Matt, it doesn't matter if Inter Miami gets through and we play Orlando City or Toluca. It's gonna be a tough game either way.
Yeah.
Now, you would love to get Orlando City so you could get one back, right? But I don't know. I don't know if they'll beat Toluca. I still think Toluca is probably the best team in America right now, in North and Central America right now, and I don't know if they have what it takes to get by that team. But we'll see in about 10 days when they play.
Yeah, we're gonna see what happens there. We got a couple more comments in the chat saying this club needs to get a huge wake up call, says Vice Rosa, like how Luis Enrique does it whenever PSG fucks up. And Mariela says Orlando with only 3 key players did a fantastic game. I was surprised on how well some of the players played, fast and precise with good technique. Tony's asking,
let's not play down.
What?
Let's not play down what Orlando did. They don't have 3 key players. They have more than three key players. It's not just Pulisic, Muriel, and Ojeda. They have Angulo, who's fantastic. Alex Freeman played a decent game. Their defense, Jansen, who to me is un burro, but he played a good game today. I forget the guy's name who had a little encontronazo with Peluca in the first half. But that's another guy. He's not a great player, but he had a great game today. They had a great team game overall, and Inter Miami didn't. Nobody for Inter Miami showed up today.
So you don't think there was any positive coming out of this game?
No, not even. I disagree with you wholeheartedly when you say that to you, Bright was the best player of the game. I thought Bright was awful. Other than his goal, I thought he was absolutely awful. Him and Busquets. And your colleagues on Messi and Co said it, that they were like Swiss cheese, and I agree. And I don't agree with your colleagues that often, but they were on point with that, because Orlando City just went through the midfield like if it was an absolute bowling lane.
Agree with that.
And they had a 15-pound ball, and they just went right through the lane and hit all the pins down. That's what it looked like.
I do agree with you on that bit. But if it wasn't Yannick Bright in your opinion, who you think played the best out of the 11 tonight, even including bench players, if you can even consider them?
I think I have to go with Velasco Segovia, right? I thought he made a few key passes. Obviously, not he didn't play great, but I thought he made a few key passes. He controlled the ball, and out of everybody who played terrible, I have to give it to Velasco Segovia as to me the player who stood out the most. And that says a lot because I could have said Suarez, especially with what you posted earlier. The SoFa score had Suarez, I think, as the highest ranked Inter Miami player.
Yeah, I think
so. There you go. I didn't say
in the
Suarez.
last year, I think, or alongside Messi, I think. But it's literally like within the last year, like it's just been Suarez. It's just been in the green, and he still continues to be in the green. I thought he had a good game today. Okay, a good game.
He almost scored a golazo.
He almost scored a golazo from halfway, from the halfway line. But there was just no service. I mean, no service. Tadeo Ashende couldn't. He also had that fuck. Excuse me. He also had that what was it? That defense splitting pass. I think in the second half at some point. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah. He passed it to Tadeo, and Tadeo couldn't get to the ball.
No. There was one. Espera, let me think. There was one. It was after Baltasar came on because it was.
I know what you're talking about. He gave it to Fafa, and then him and Fafa got into a fight after.
And then exactly, and then like Baltasar and Fafa like fought for it or whatever, or like they bumped into each other, and then Suarez was yelling out at Fafa. Fafa was yelling at Suarez. It got absolutely heated. I mean, like there's a clear lack of communication between the players because I think there were also times where the ball was yelling at, I think it was Maxi at certain points in the game because of, I don't know, passing or positioning or et cetera, et cetera. Suarez is obviously yelling at everybody, but there's a clear disconnect when it comes to these players. And this is something that has to be fixed pretty quickly because there's no way that you go from, when I know it's against Pumas, but like you go from a game against Pumas where your confidence is high, your energy is high, you guys are feeling it too. Now you come back into the MLS where you're playing still at home. You're in Florida. This is a place that you've been before and situations that you've been before, but now you don't show up and you just don't show up. And like I don't know, like I think it's very crazy how the switch completely flips in just a matter of games. I don't know if that's just because of the teams that we've been facing, like Atlas and Necaxa and whatever, but it's it is very shocking. But
I think it's important. It's important to point out that this team has played the most games out of any other MLS team in the entire entire league, and it shows. And not only that, but they just finished a stretch where they played Saturday against Cincinnati, Wednesday against Atlas, Saturday against Necaxa, and Wednesday against Puma. So you had 4 games in 10 days, Matt. And to me, that's a lot on these guys. And now you had another game, 4 days later. So that's five games in what in like 13 days. That's a lot.
Pero Orlando had the same thing, no? Because they played, what was it? Before they started their Leagues Cup campaign, they had they played Columbus and they beat Columbus. It was on a Friday. I'm looking at it right here. They played Columbus on a Friday. Then they played Pumas on the first game of the Leagues Cup on the Wednesday. Then on Saturday they play Atlas. Then on Wednesday they play Necaxa, and now today they play Inter Miami. So they've also had not the big stretch of games. I'm not defending and I'm not trying to go against you, whatever, but I'm also saying that Orlando also had like, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 game stretch essentially.
They're a lot younger.
They just go back and forth.
They're a lot younger, so it makes a little bit of a difference. But I agree with you. Both teams had the same 4 or 5 game stretch. So I guess my point there is mute. But they are younger and they recuperate a little bit faster. And we see that, again, I point at Busquets. I think Busquets had maybe one of his worst games as an Inter Miami player today. And he just looked disinterested at times, which frustrates me because he doesn't seem like the type of player to get disinterested in the game. He always seems to be focused, laser focused on what's going on. And at points today, he just seemed like he didn't want to be there. He was frustrated and not happy with his teammates or the situation. So something to look forward to, throughout the rest of the season, especially knowing that his contract expires at the end of the season. And, a lot of folks are wondering if he's going to come back at a cheaper rate, maybe at a TAM rate, which is what I believe will happen if he doesn't turn over to coaching.
That's what I think too. I mean, like if he doesn't retire this year, I do definitely think they're gonna get him for next year for cheaper on the TAM contract, and then hopefully use that DP spot to bring in somebody else. But speaking of Busquets, why? Just to speculate a little bit, why do you think they struggled so much in this game with the midfield with him? Like, why do you think he looked the way that he did? Because normally Busquets is like our best player, honestly, on the field. He's the one that controls our game. He's like the pendulum of this team most of the time. But for some reason, like him as well as of course everybody else just seemed very off. Like, why do you think Busquets? Like, why do you think it's so bad that even Busquets was struggling out there?
Well, I just think
Just to
it has to
speculate.
do, yeah, it has to do with the way that Orlando played, right? Orlando played a very high press game where they were, using their speed to get by Inter Miami. And they had, again, like we talked about, Martin Ojeda just was going through the middle of the field and doing whatever he wanted to do. Neither Bright was marking him, neither Busquets was marking him.
Mm-hmm.
Jordi Alba was caught many times in the
Yes.
midfield and not
Yes.
marking. So a lot of those situations, I think, could lead to a player getting frustrated in a certain situation and then just becoming disinterested in the game. Also, the lack of reliability on some of his teammates. There was a lot of times when I saw Busquets had the ball, he would look left and he would see Telasco Segovia. He would look right and he would purposely pass it to Rodrigo de Paul because maybe he trusts Rodrigo de Paul more. And we see that a lot between some of these Fantastic Four, the Fantastic Five, like we can call them now.
Sure.
There was a lot of times when Suarez and De Paul play with each other and they don't play with everybody else. So I think that also has to change if this team is going to to do what they're supposed to do, which is win the MLS Cup this season. They're going to need to start becoming more of one unit and less of Messi and friends and everybody else, if they want to change it. And really today's game was an absolute wake-up call for that to happen because Messi was not available. You got to see, basically the best of the team against your rival, and they just came up extremely short. So I hope the front office was watching. I hope the front office is listening because they need to go out and get a couple more signings before the transfer window closes next week.
And you completely fell into the trap that I was going to ask you in the next question about asking about the Fantastic Four and the Fantastic Five and how they prioritize each other. I think in play is what I see and what I from these games. Like you said,
all of us who know football,
yeah,
have noticed that. So
of course, no, but I'm saying, pero I'm like just to point out the obvious, right? Because it's clear that is a huge, even though like it's a huge positive having these players like Suarez and De Paul that play with each other in the past at Atletico Madrid, that players that have high intellect with Busi and Jordi, they obviously know each other like the back of their hands and they know each other's next move before they even know. It's great to have those kinds of players, but at the same time, that is creating, like you said, it's a lack of trust, and it creates just like it kind of breaks the cohesion a little bit. It breaks the chemistry a little bit because now it's like, okay, I don't trust you, Telasco. I don't trust you, Fafa. I don't trust you, Ashende. I'm gonna pass it to Rodrigo de Paul because he's right next to me and he's played at the top level before. So like you said, they need to sort this out. They need to trust each other a little bit more. They need to kind of maybe teach these younger guys. I don't know. They need to do something because these other guys like Ashende, like Segovia, and they need to be able to have, I don't want to say the same intellect, but they need to be able to be trustworthy and reliable for players like Busi and Suarez and De Paul to give them more opportunities. But I don't know. I think it's a real downfall when it comes to, at certain times, in certain moments, it's a real downfall because at the end of the day, I don't think they're wrong. Like if I have Segovia over here and I have the ball over here, I know who I'm gonna pass it to. If Suarez is holding the ball up, am I gonna give it to Ashende or am I gonna give it to De Paul?
He's gonna give it to De Paul, obviously. Well, because if he gives it to Allende is either gonna run straight down the line and lose the ball at the end line, and it'll be a goal kick, or he'll find some way to screw it up. But yeah, I agree. I think this team needs to start functioning like we talked about as a unit. A lot of times, I don't know if you noticed this, Matt, but a lot of times, when Busi has the ball, Rodrigo de Paul has the ball, they point at where they want their teammate to go so that they can pass them the ball. A lot of those things, they need to do that in practice. What is Mascherano doing in practice? That's what I'm wondering. And unfortunately, I'm not allowed to go at practice. Inter Miami won't let me attend. But I'm curious, what are they doing at practice? Because those are things that you need to, practice during the week, that you need to look at your tactics. You need to look at your
like positional
your
plays and things like that. Like,
Exactly. So why are we in the middle of the season, in the middle of a game, and your newest player who just came in here 2 weeks ago is telling your other players who have been here for the last year and a half where to go? Like, that to me shows that Rodrigo de Paul is at another level when it comes to visualizing the field, and some of the other players that are on the roster are just not at that level.
They probably just don't look at game footage like that. I don't know. This is also me again speculating. I don't know what they do on the practice at the training field, but clearly it's not analyzing, like you said, where they go or what to do in certain situations. And they can do that on the training field, and they can do that in the theater. Like when they go inside and they pull up in the projector and they look at the previous games, you can say, oh, hey, in this situation, when they go in this system, you got to go here, you got to go there, you got to go there. Clearly, I don't want to say they don't do that, but it shows that they lack that positional awareness. It shows that they lack that vision. It shows that they lack that just kind of just seeing, like you said, seeing and scanning and that awareness of plays, of positions, of situations, of scenarios, and all of the above. And like you said, it just shows where the ball is, who got here literally 2 weeks ago, who played 3 games for us, and he is literally directing players that have been here for 2 years, for a year and a half, on where to go in such situations. It's not really a good look, and you would think that they would be teaching that kind of stuff in the training and the practice, field.
Well, a lot of coaches have like classroom sessions where like you said, they have a big screen or a projector, and they show games, and you have a class, you have a whiteboard, and you start drawing out certain things. Hey, when this player goes this way, you don't go this way. This guy has to cover. Those are things that you talk about in practice. Those are things that you talk about in classroom sessions. And to me, Mascherano doesn't look like the classroom type. And that's no offense to him. He just doesn't seem that he does that sort of stuff. Now, I don't know. I'm not in there on the day-to-day, so I don't know for sure what they do, but I don't feel like they do any classroom sessions. I think most of their stuff is done in the gym or outside on the field. But it goes to show the lack of coaching that is going into this team. Not saying that Mascherano needs to get fired, but again, it just goes to show when you have a coach of the caliber of Mascherano, who is a new coach, these are the type of things that you can expect.
Yeah, no, I agree. I 100% agree. It's something that you'd expect, but it doesn't seem like that. If they are doing it, it doesn't seem like they're translating or transferring that onto real life situations onto the field, which is a huge disappointment. Some people in the comments here are talking about Messi. They're saying that even Messi wouldn't have been able to do anything today. Brad says even if Messi would have struggled today, Orlando looked like they had 4 Van Dijks on defense. What do you think, just to please the chat a little bit, what do you if Messi were to be here, do you think we would have more of a chance? I don't think it would have made that much of a difference, to be honest, but I want to hear what you what you have to say.
I think it would have made a huge difference. Remember, maybe Messi might not have scored 3 goals, but Messi adds to the game a different layer, right? It makes the other defenders worry about his movements. Today, you had Velasco Segovia playing the 10, Rodrigo de Paul playing the 10 for sometimes, and it's a very different style of player. You don't have to worry as much about them to do the type of magic that Messi performs on a week in, week out basis when he's in the lineup. So not only would he have taken defenders, but he would have created for his teammates, which is something that Inter Miami lacked today. Suarez had a couple of good opportunities in the final third. He gave Tadeo Allende a beautiful pass. He gave Fafa another beautiful pass. He had a chance to score, but Inter Miami, what they lack the most when Messi's not in there is that creativeness to get to the other opposing team's box and get shots on goal. And we didn't have that today, unfortunately, and that's what Messi offers. He opens up the field a little bit more. Like I said, he creates, he takes defenders. I think it would have made a huge difference to have Messi on the field. I don't think it would have been 4-1. I think it would have been a lot closer, and I think Inter Miami could have had a chance to actually win the game.
I think, okay, and this is why I say I don't think it would have been that much of a difference. Obviously, when Messi touches the field and plays with this team, he's a different animal, and he creates things, and he creates opportunities and chances that come out of nowhere. But I think there still would have been other aspects of Inter Miami's game tonight that would have still been a downfall to this team. I still think we probably would have conceded 4 because our defense was atrocious regardless. Maybe on offense we probably could have scored. We probably could have scored maybe 1 or 2 more. But at the end of the day, I think even though Messi would have tried his best to create, to to feed balls into players like Ashinde to De Paul to Suarez or to whoever, to Telasco Segovia, and maybe he probably would have gotten a goal or two. I feel like there was just something that, I mean, look, there was just something in the team that there was missing, and maybe it was Messi. Maybe they were missing Messi today but like when you take the team as a whole, you can't just be like, okay, Messi is the solution to this problem, because at the end of the day, even though he is a demon, and he's literally the best in the world, and he can create things out of nothing. He is not the answer to our problem. So I simply just don't want to say that Messi is our solution, because this is something that's bigger than this problem is something that's bigger than any one player can change, and that's just being a team. And Messi is not the team. Inter Miami is the team, and they need to fix that in one way or another, whether that's with him or without him. But
well said. Well said. Yeah, this isn't basketball, right? This isn't basketball where one player can make a difference. This is soccer. You need all 11 players that are on the pitch to make a difference for you, to make an impact in the game in order to win. And if you have one weak link, and the other team can take advantage of it, that's the biggest difference in soccer. You can't have just relying on one player. And there's a lot of folks, a lot of fans, a lot of haters, just folks in general who say that Inter Miami is Messi and 10 other guys, but that's not the truth. I mean, today I think was an anomaly. This team hasn't been playing that well regardless, but I think today was an anomaly. I think when Messi comes back for the Tigres game, which is when we all expect him to be back, we'll see a different Inter Miami. But we have a game in between there, and we'll see if they can do something at home against the LA Galaxy next week.
You don't think he'll play against Galaxy?
No, I don't think so. I think they'll still save him for the Leagues Cup quarterfinal.
Are you gonna go to the Galaxy game?
I'm trying. Okay. I'm gonna see if I can take my son.
Okay.
Is it on Saturday or Sunday?
It's a Saturday. It's a Saturday 7:30 game.
Oof, I don't know, man. Nacional plays at 5.
Oof.
And I got a media channel on that. I got to do the games, so I got to do the play-by-play. So
no, you're good. No, what about
watching
on Wednesday?
It from home?
Because it's a midweek. I'm going to that game.
That game I want to go to. I've always followed Tigres. I'm not a big Liga MX guy, but I've always followed Tigres because of the players that they've had. They used to have one of my favorite players, El Diente Lopez, who plays in Nacional now, Uruguayan. So I've always followed Tigres. I like them. Not a fan, but I like them. I like the way that they play. I've liked their history. So I'm excited about that game. I think we got the most attractive game out of any of the other games in the knockout stage. So yeah, I think I'm going to go to that. So if you're out there, I'll see you.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna be there for the Leagues Cup game, and I think I'm gonna be there for the Galaxy game. I'm not really too sure. I don't remember, but I mean, I have the tickets regardless, but I don't know if I'm gonna go or if I'm gonna give it to my parents. But for sure, I'm gonna be there for the Tigres game. That's gonna be a lot of fun. It's a 1-game knockout, so it's win or go home, do or die. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. So I'm very excited. We're gonna wrap things up here. Do you have any final comments or final thoughts that you want to say before we go to bed?
Yeah, man. Jorge Mas, bring in some reinforcements right now. Reinforcements, really bad. If it's Bartra, if it's Pelistri, I don't care, but bring in some reinforcements.
Do you, we still got an international slot, right? Or do we not?
I think we do. I think we have one international slot.
We have the one spare, right? Okay. So yeah, we need to bring in somebody, and we need to bring in somebody quick. We only have, you said, less than 2 weeks? So
that's right.
Whoever it is, it needs to be somebody who can elevate this team just a little bit more, because even though we have apparently we can have De Paul, Busi, Suarez, Messi, and Jordi Alba, and maybe sometimes that still doesn't feel like enough. But hopefully we can solve our problems, and hopefully our business isn't over. But thank you, Danny Solana, for joining me tonight. I appreciate you for coming on. It's always a pleasure being here. You always bring your expertise, your energy, your passion, and that's what I love about you. That's what I love about this game and what it does to people like us. It brings out the best in us, and it brings out just a very passionate side in our hearts to just to express ourselves and enjoy what we love the most. And thanks to everybody in the chat. We currently have, I think we have about like 25 people in here. So I appreciate every single one of you for being in the chat. You guys are amazing. Thank you to Alejandro for a 199. He's saying, I'm going to bed. This sucks.
It does.
But thank you guys again for tuning into the Soulful Soccer channel. Make sure to hit a like, subscribe if you are new. Check out Danny Solana on all his socials. Plug in all your shit, Danny.
Everything is on Dice El Dani, X, Instagram, everything. I'm on everything.
Do it. Go follow him. I'll leave everything in the description afterwards, so you don't miss it. Thank you again, and I hope to see you soon. Have a good night, guys, and bye, Miami.
Guys.
Que mira, bobo.